Hello everyone, it's Saga37. You see, I have a banana here. I really like bananas. But because I got the mask on, I can't eat the banana. So here I am, sad and bananaless. Donkey Kong Bananza. Yeah, I might say, this game definitely deserves getting nominated for Game of the Year, seeing as this is probably one of the most fun I've ever had with a video game ever. And one of the things that added to that was the boss fights. Well, they did start out a little bit easy at the beginning. Near the end of the game, they give you a lot of trouble. So here, today, we're going to be ranking all of them. From worst to best. So how will this ranking work? Basically, I'm just trying to see how fun they are. Like, do they give a good challenge? Like, do they have any, like, unique attacks to them? Like, also, and bonus points will be going to, like, music and design. Also, one last thing to say, spoiler warnings, obviously. So yeah, let's get this thing started. And in last place, we have the first Grumpy Kong fight. And let me just say, this is really disappointing. So, the entire point behind this fight is for you to destroy the large structure that Grumpy Kong stands atop of. The thing is that, at this point, you already have the Kong Bananza, and because the material that Grumpy Kong uses is so easily destroyable, you can just, like, automatically destroy this thing within a couple seconds. And, like, it doesn't have much of an attack. All it really does is, like, swing around a club, which most of the basic enemies have already done, so you should be used to dodging this at this point. Not to mention that by the time you get to Grumpy Kong, his only really attack to stop you is swinging around his pickaxe, but even then, that's really easy to avoid. So yeah, this entire fight is just extremely easy. Hell, it's even easier than the first boss in this game, which would really go and tell you something about it. Next up, we have K Stomp and Clomper, which, in my opinion, is probably the most confusing fight in this game, for, like, simple reason. Why is it even here? So at this point, you've already defeated Void Kong, and so now while you're chasing King K. Rool in the underground, like inside the planet core, this random fight against a boss that you already fought in the game, which, by the way, this, like, spoilers for the list, Stomp and Clomper itself is already not that high on the list. So the fact that this thing comes out of nowhere and you fight it again, it makes no sense. And, like, nothing really much happens in this fight. All you're trying to do is destroy its feet while it's trying to stomp on you, and then you have to destroy the head in order to hit the core, and then you do that, like, twice. Well, I will say, what makes this fight unique is that one of its foot is lava, and every time it stomps with the lava foot, it creates a lava pool. And every time it stomps, it also alternates between the lava and a regular foot. But besides that, this fight just kind of does not need to exist. Next up, we have the first Poppy Kong fight, and I'm just gonna say this: the Poppy Kong fights were disappointingly easy, like for where to show up in the game. And out of the two, the one I dislike the most is probably the first one. So the entire point of this fight is that she turns invisible and she'll, like, start running around the room trying to hit you. The thing is that there's, like, a patch of snow all across the floor telling you where she is. So what you're supposed to do is that you either hit her while she's running across the floor, or wait for her to ram herself into a wall, which stuns her, and then hit her again. Then you can get a couple good hits in, and then the thing repeats. The thing is that this is really easy, and there's not really much making it any harder, so yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me. I will say that the boss theme is probably one of the best boss themes in the game, though. Next up, we have the second Poppy Kong fight, and not much changes between this fight. Except one thing, of course, the fact that Poppy Kong's moving at, like, light speed. So, and seeing as you have the Snake Bananza at this point, you pretty much know what to do. You use the Snake Bananza's glare to slow her down, then you hit her. That's kind of the only reason this one's above the first fight, because there's, like, an added extra layer on trying to stop her, and the speed actually does make her really difficult to hit, even when you slow things down. But yeah, it's still too easy for my liking. Next up, we have the Pika Bruiser. This is like the first boss in the game, so it's gonna obviously be low. But even then, it's decent for a first boss. The entire point behind it is that this thing will be constantly moving around, shooting these little octopus things that drain your health. And what you're meant to do, you're basically supposed to punch this thing to like destroy it, to then get to the core. But it's not that simple, because once you destroy the main body, the core will head to the center of the arena, create like a little mountain, and start summoning a bunch of the little octopus things that go after you. But yeah, besides that, nothing really else. It's the first boss fight in the game, so it's gonna be easy. I will say it's harder than the first Grumpy Kong fight. Next up, we have Pika Bruiser, which is it's pretty much the exact same fight as the original Pika Bruiser fight, with like the major difference being that like there's these little holes around the ground, which where if you step in them, it'll summon them in. A lot of those, it'll cave the whole cave into itself and summon a bunch of those little like octopus things to kill you. And I think that in the second fight, he also can turn into concrete, meaning you're forced to use the Kong Bananza in this fight. But yeah, it's pretty much the exact same fight. Next up, we have the original Stomp and Clomper fight, and it is pretty much the exact same thing as the first Stomp and Clomper fight, except without the cool lava foot, meaning it's easier. Although, I will say, it makes sense for it, the reason it's higher, it's like mainly because like it works as one of the first boss fights in the game. One thing I did forget to mention within the K-Stomp and Clomper segment though, is that there's a second phase to this fight where the body will rebuild itself. And to concrete, meaning you have to use the Kong Bananza to destroy it, which is kind of cool. Still, I really don't care for Stomp and Clomper at all, besides the goofy name he has. Next up, we have Mad Mixer. This is actually a pretty cool fight, because you're in a minecart and you have bomb rocks. Then that should be self-explanatory. The main point of this is mainly you throwing bomb rocks at the Mad Mixer to destroy it, while also trying to make sure to like destroy like the walls it has around it, and also avoiding the lasers that can just like, randomly summon. But yeah, besides that, not really much happens in this fight. Like a lot of the early game fights are like this, where not much happens. Next up, we have Mad Mixer Remix, which is this fight you do in the Feast Layer. I will say, this fight was unexpected, similar to K-Stomp and Clomper, but unlike K-Stomp and Clomper, I actually enjoy this fight. Sort of. Because it's like still on like the bottom half of the list, but that's not important. So, what are the main differences? Well, here, instead of having walls like regular material, it has walls of muck, and those can't be destroyed by bomb rocks. But luckily, they do give you salt balls. So what you're supposed to do is throw the salt balls at the muck walls to melt them and then hit Mad Mixer. But yeah, besides that's the same fight. But I do like the added addition of the salt balls. That's cool. What's also cool is his music. Next up, we have the last Sinister Blusterwing fight. Hey, I see, I switched it up there. But why is the last Sinister Blusterwing fight last? Well, simple. This fight should not take more than a minute, if you know what you're doing. You think I'm joking, but no. At this point, the Sinister Blusterwing is on, like, its last sliver of health. And what it's trying to do is basically just, like, destroy it. Like, it has some pretty cool attacks, like lightning bolts and, like, lightning lasers. And what you're supposed to do is, using the Elephant Bananza, you suck up the magma that's being thrown around in the whirlwind around you, shoot it at the wings, and then it'll fall through the floor, and you deliver one final punch to kill it. The thing is that it's still way too short, and yeah, there's not really much else I could say about it. Next up, we have the first Sinister Blusterwing fight, and this is basically just like a simplified version of the third one. With it, instead of spewing lightning, like shooting lightning lasers, it's just like throwing up sand And what you do is like you grab the sand, throw it at the wings, then make it fall, and then you just hit it. And that's basically it. The reason that I put it above this is because like this is like the first time you fight this thing, and you just like went through enemies that are dealt in similar ways. So I like that, and this fight can last more than under a minute. Next up, we have the second Sinister Glow Swing fight, and this is the last time we'll see this guy. So the difference between this one is that it's spewing sand, it's spewing lava, and using the newly acquired Elephant Bananza you got, you suck up the lava, throw the hardened lava at the wings, and then you get to hit it. So basically, the second fight, but a little bit more difficult. That, and like, I forgot to mention this earlier as well, but each time you fight the Blusterwing, it also has the chance to, like, spawn in, like, tornadoes that can hurt you, but that's not really important. Next up, we have the race against Diddy and Dixie Kong. Yeah, I know what some of you might say, Steggy77, this isn't a boss fight. Well, it's my list, and I conclude what I want to. And I will say, this race is pretty fun. Where you're basically like going around the racetrack, destroying the road in order to gain like boost power, so you can like access shortcuts and like move faster. And it's a pretty good fight, like especially like after you just like went through like the landfill layer, which to be honest was kind of underwhelming. One thing I will say about this fight though is just like, one, I don't like how Dixie and Diddy Kong get like a head start, and the other thing, Rambi, like the thing you're using to race, the controls are kind of like stiff, so you can't really steer that well, but besides that, this is really enjoyable. Next up, we have the fight against Inflaminite. Hey, I made that rhyme. Anyways, so this fight is pretty simple, with it just like rolling around, creating like lava like streams as it goes around, and every time it hits the wall, a little bit of snow can fall. Now you can do two things with it. Either one, you can hit it while it's rolling to put the fire out, or two, wait, now I messed up. Anyways, you can wait for it to hit the wall, which will cause the entire room to get covered in snow, which will put it out. Afterwards, you can destroy the casing, in which the core will come out, and you'll start running around, creating like a crumbly like ice shell behind it. Then using the Zebra Bananza, you can chase after it and then hit it. You see why this is a little bit higher than the other ones? Because like it's really fun, like all those things you can do. And I will say I like the design, even though it is just basically a giant fireball. So yeah, it's pretty good. Next up, we have the fight against Muckety Muck. And that is a weird name, and it really fits the weird design of this creature. I will say, originally this was going to be lower on the list, but after thinking about it, it's a pretty good late game boss fight. So basically, you're inside you're on a metal floor with this thing spitting out acid, and acid will melt the metal floor, revealing salt at the bottom. And since this thing is made out of muck, and you've been having to deal with muck throughout this entire layer, you'll know that you have to throw the salt at it to melt it, and eventually reach its core, in which you can just hit it. But it's not going to be that simple, because along with like spitting acid, it'll also be jumping around, summoning muck monsters that also shoot acid. And eventually this thing can get like, if you don't deal with the little creatures as well, this can get out of hand like real quick. And it makes the fight difficult. And while it is kind of annoying, it also makes sense. I guess, like I said before, it's a late game fight. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. I will say I feel off-put by its design. It's kind of weird. Next up, we have the second fight against Grumpy Kong. Yeah, I bet you didn't realize how far away, like, much higher up his second fight would be. That's because they vastly improved it. So, within the Raiden Slayer, you'll, have to deal with, like, this purple crystal stuff that will turn to sand when put under light. And this time, Grumpy has decided to build his entire giant rock monster, out of this material. And above you is a glass ceiling, which, using the underused Snake Bananza, you can smash the glass ceiling, which will reveal light, which will, then make Grumpy Kong's giant monster destroyable. Not to mention, he also wears a helmet made out of this thing as well, which makes the fight a little bit harder. He also swings his pickaxe twice instead of once. And also another thing about him is that the hammer that the monster uses is made of bomb rocks, meaning it'll create a giant explosion when it hits the ground, making the fight even more difficult. And that's what I like about it, is that this takes a piss easy fight from all the way at the beginning of the game, and makes it an actual challenge you'll deal with late game, and that's why I put it up this high. Next up, we have the fight against Abracadabra, another weird name, which is something this game likes to do a lot, give the bosses weird names. But yeah, inside, like, the poisonous marsh under the Eggshell Hotel in the forest layer, you'll have to deal with this really cool looking plant which will send off like a stream of vines, which you'll have to use to go up to the core and destroy it. But it's not going to be that easy, because on these vines there's also spiky vines which you have to avoid, as well as poisonous like waves that it'll constantly shoot out at you. And what I like about it is that with each like hit you get in, like the vine road to it gets harder. Like in the second phase, how it gets like more like wavy, and in the third phase it just like splits and gets a lot more narrow. And I think that's pretty cool about this. That's a cool thing about this fight. Also, like, that design, it's just so freaking cool. I love it. Next up, we're gonna have like a little streak of Void Kong's fights, with the first one up being his, well, first fight in the hilltop layer. And I think this is actually a pretty cool fight, with the entire thing behind it is that you are chasing Void Kong as he's going around the hilltop layer, shooting like these little golden drills at you, and like turning the floor into ice, summoning enemies, also turning the floor into mud, sending out these like rocky pillars at you. And like, I really like this, and you're just like chasing him throughout the entire layer. I do like it, but it's the most basic out of the 4 fights. Yeah, 4. Buckle up, Buttercup? I don't know. I don't want to make it sound weird. I mean, it already... Yeah. You know, let's just move on. Next up, we have Void Kong's second fight. In the first layer, I forgot what it's called. I like this fight more, simply because, like, the attacks do get a lot harder. Instead of ice and mud, we got ground and poison. And poison is a lot more difficult to deal with ice or mud. Not to mention, he summons, like, more harder enemies. And it's, like, overall just like a more enjoyable fight. With an added bonus being that you get to climb the Kong Elder to give him, like, the finishing hit. That's cool. Next up, we have the third Void Kong fight, which is actually a lot more, like, difficult than the other 2 fights. He's replaced, the poison for lava, which is, I think, more difficult to deal with. He summons even more difficult enemies, and there's actually a second phase to the third fight, in which he'll summon, like, 3 void, like, Terra Voiders, to summon a shield for him, and you have to go around destroying each one while he's still attacking you. And I think this is really cool, not to mention you get to fight him on the giant... I know it's a drill, but it looks like a giant dirt pile that he's been riding on, like, for the entire game, and I think that's pretty cool. But wanna know what makes it even cooler? Cooler music. Thus, Void Kong's 4th fight being higher than the other ones. Okay, well, not entirely. There is a lot of differences, actually. Like, there's similar to the third fight, there's 2 phases. With the first phase having you chasing him around, like, the Forbidden Lair, with you having to throw chunks of land through the air to create, like, roads to get to him. Meanwhile, he's, like, shooting golden drills and creating, like, poison force fields, which are pretty cool. And also summoning enemies, I guess, but that's less cool. Afterwards, the second phase is similar to the second phase of the third fight, with him summoning a shield around him, and you have to destroy the Terra Voiders to destroy the shield. But this is actually a lot harder than you think, because along with the multitude of enemies, like, he's like sending everything he's had in the last 4 fights against, 3 fights against you, and I think that's really cool, and sets him up as a really cool false final boss. That's right, because now It's time for the kings to rule. That's right. The top 3 boss fights in this game are all K. Rool, who spoil. I guess. Well, the spoiler. Well, the game's been out for a while, so I guess it's not a spoiler anymore. Is the true main antagonist of the game, and up first is his first fight, which I probably would have put in lower if it wasn't for the fact that it's King Frickin' K. Rool, and it's so cool. But the fight itself is kind of underwhelming, with you having to basically launch the giant iron orbs that he sends at you to deal damage, because basically all of your attacks do nothing to him. He also summons these toxic mush arms to like crush you, and he also uses the blunderbuss to try to suck you in, but you can avoid his suction using the zebra Bananza. But yeah, it's kind of underwhelming. But even then, it's K. Rool. Man, like, I can't not have it in the top 3. And plus, there's a cooler version of this fight that we'll see pretty soon. But first, that's right, the second Carol fight goes above the first. Now, you might be wondering, how come? It's a lot easier than the first fight. And you're like, yeah, all he really does is, like, chase you around, and, not really chase you around, like, probably, like, more like, tries to, like, ram you with his head, or eat you, or, I don't even know what the animation's supposed to be of him doing. And he also, like, destroy the ground using Void Kong's, like, banana remote. But, man, I can't even, like, not put this at second place, because, like, the entire concept behind this fight is so cool. Like, the fight starts off with, like, showing off the fake credits, which is, like, something they did in the first Donkey Kong Country game. And then Cable just climbing up the, like flying up the banana tower, letting out his inner Frieza. And then, like, the entire remix of Gangplank Galley just goes so hard. And, like, the atmosphere is what really launches this fight up to second place. Like, if it wasn't for how cool this was, it'd be, like, probably one of the most basic fights on here. But even then, the fight can be difficult, especially, like, later on when he, like, starts getting faster and there's less ground for you to move around. And, like, the ending where you have to throw the banana chunk at him to, like, make sure he doesn't, like, kill you, it's, like, so cool. I love it so much. And finally, in first place, we have the final fight against K. Rool, the King of Rot. And this entire fight is so cool. First of all, I love the reference with, like, the boxing ring, because that's, like, the final boss arena from K. Rool's fight in Donkey Kong 64. But even then, the actual fight itself is really cool. Like, while his Bananza form might be a little bit ugly, it is intimidating as all hell. And then, like, his actual attacks, along with using attacks like the Iron Ball attacks from the first fight, as well as, like, the blunderbuss thing and the goop arms. But the goop arms are, like, a lot more difficult, because, like, he'll shoot a bunch of orbs into the air, which will hit the ground, causing an entire, causing the entire floor to be filled up with, like, rotten mush. And you have to, like, use the elephant banana to suck it up, and then you, like, use the chunks, like golden chunks that you collect throughout the fight to, like, throw at the hands to destroy them, because if you don't, then you're pretty much screwed, because, like, this stuff is everywhere. It gets all across the arena. And then, like, just everything about this fight is cool. And I really like how, like, with the giant orbs, you have to hit them to, like, knock him out of his Bananza form to do some actual good damage on him. And, like, just everything about this fight is so cool. And I just love the fact that they brought K. Rool back to begin with. But yeah, K. Rool, the King of Rot, proudly gets the crown. I don't know how to finish this off. So yeah, there you go. There's my ranking of all the bosses in Donkey Kong Bananza. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you have, like, any differing opinions, you could go say them in the comments below. And with that being said, I will see you next time. Bye.